Jalen Hurts dominates the Packer defense. Jonathan Gannon gets a lot of criticism for the Eagle defense. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson plus an A.J. Brown injury update. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Monday. It's a victory Monday. Wasn't pretty last night, at least defensively. Offensively, it was fantastic, and I wanted to jump on here and give you guys an update regarding Philadelphia and the rest of the National Football League, including a playoff picture look towards the end of today's show. We'll start with some of the more important stuff in terms of injury news, starting with C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and move into Jalen Hurts and what he was actually able to do last night as an absolutely incredible MVP performance against the Green Bay Packers. Okay, let's start with the C.J. Gardner-Johnson update as of today, a Monday. Now, I'm sure there's going to be more of an update either this evening or on Tuesday. Subscribe to the show to stay up to date on that. But it is officially a rib injury for the star safety and honestly the Pro Bowl safety right now for Philadelphia, who leads the league in interceptions. Bleeding Green Nation has a good write-up here. Quote, just after halftime, Eagles ruled out C.J. Gardner-Johnson out for the remainder of Sunday's game with a rib injury. We don't know the extent of that, but he was walking up the field very slowly and was in serious pain. Quote, late in the first quarter, Eagles safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson had a big hit against Packers wide receiver Christian Watson, fell to the ground afterward. Eventually, he made his way to the locker room with help from trainers and went right to the cart to be taken back to the locker room. Shortly after, he's listed as questionable to return with a rib injury. Gardner-Johnson's led the league in interceptions through 12 weeks with 6, and has been instrumental to the Eagles secondary since he got to Philadelphia just before the season. He's acclimated quickly and has had a lot of success. In addition to his takeaway skills, C.J. Gardner-Johnson has 59 total tackles, 8 defended passes, and 1 sack in 10 games. Blankenship is the next man up, will take C.J.'s place on the field. Blankenship is an undrafted free agent who leapfrogged Kayvon Wallace on the depth chart as of last week. Secondary can't really afford to lose anyone else. Hopefully, C.J. Gardner-Johnson isn't out too long, end quote. So we don't have is it a break? Is it a fracture? Is it a crack? Is it cartilage? Is it a bruise? We do not know the severity of this one. And Nick Sirianni, in his Monday morning phone call with 94.1 WIP's morning show, did not have an update as well. It's just big news, though. And I know that Blankenship had the interception and played fairly well last night. He still was the reason why Jordan Love found Christian Watson on that 60-yard touchdown pass across the middle. It was a blown coverage by Blankenship. He's an undrafted free agent from Central Mississippi, so, one of those no-name colleges for a reason. And while he has leapfrog Kayvon Wallace and is clearly the backup safety right now to C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the fact that Johnson could be out for an extended period of time, if he is definitely bad news for Philadelphia and will impact, again, this tough run right now where they have Tennessee and then the Giants, followed by the Bears and Cowboys over the next 4 weeks of the NFL season. I do want to mention A.J. Brown here very, very quickly, as this is a great write-up from crossingboard.com. Give you an example of what A.J. Brown was going through this last week. They didn't tell us this. And we talked about how A.J. Brown had some sort of sickness designation on the Eagles injury report late last week. Turns out he was so sick, he lost 7 pounds and busted a blood vessel in his eye from puking. Look at that picture right there. Goodness gracious. So here's the quote from James Palmer. Quote, it took a lot for A.J. Brown to play tonight. He has a busted blood vessel in his eye from throwing up. He lost roughly 7 pounds from being sick. He actually wasn't feeling well until the second quarter, which is absolutely crazy right now in terms of, losing 7 pounds. You're throwing up a lot. It means you're not eating a lot and you're losing a lot over the course of the past couple of days. Now here's the quote from Crossing Broad. Quote, something has felt off about Brown the last 3 games. Maybe it's bad luck. Hurt his ankle early in the Commies game or the Commanders game, and it might have lingered in Indy. Maybe he's just had a kid 2 months ago. He's probably not getting any sleep. Regardless, we're going to need the fumbling issue to stop because now it's 2 games in a row. Now, again, a little bit harsh right up there by Crossing Broad Street in terms of what's the reason for his struggles. I think the sickness this past week is very fair. Fumbling the football is definitely an issue. He needs to hold on to the ball, and we haven't had a dominant A.J. Brown game since the Steelers game, and you don't know what's going on with their personal life. But I'm not going to criticize him because for the fumble, he had a really good catch, a couple of good catches on 3rd down, and then a touchdown catch. He wasn't awful last night. Take the fumble off the board, and he was the Eagles' best receiver. So I'm very curious to see how well he's able to bounce back this week with the blood vessel in the eye, obviously with the sickness. He should only be able to feel better and better as the day goes on. The fact he was able to even play last night was massive for Philadelphia and really good news for his long-term health. So wishing him, better health. Hopefully he feels better, but crazy to see what he played with in that win against the Green Bay Packers. All right, speaking of the winning against the Green Green Bay Packers, you guys should definitely check out my reaction show that I posted earlier today. Kind of a fun little parody reaction. It's down below in the description box. It's also the most recent show on the channel, so go ahead and check that one out. Kind of fun. Curious if you guys like this little style. I might keep doing it after each and every game, but up to you guys. Thumbs up if you guys have seen it and enjoyed it, and be sure to subscribe for plenty more stuff like this coming up this week on the Thomas Mott Show. I do need to mention Jalen Hurts last night because we can get into the Eagle defense. I'm sure we'll talk more about that later on this week and how, you gave up 33 points. It was a very rough night, I think, for the secondary in terms of what Christian Watson was able to do to them. I think Aaron Rodgers, despite having a thumb injury and then later a rib injury, was able to move the football very efficiently. The defense is going to have its time in the spotlight, whether for bad or for good. But we do need to mention that it was a historic night last night for Jalen Hurts. I mean, this is some incredible stuff. NBC Sports in Philadelphia has this write-up, quote, "That was spectacular and historical stuff from Jalen Hurts. Finished with 158 rushing yards on 16 carries, including a career-long 42-yarder and runs of 24 and 28 yards as well. There were a few scrambles in there, but most of these were called runs, and I love it. It's clear from the start the Packers just couldn't stop him. I think the Eagles always need to be careful with how many carries Hurts get. When he's netting 10 yards per run, how can you stop calling them? Hurts also threw the ball efficiently and productively, going 16 for 28 for a $153 and a touchdown pass to A.J. Brown and Quez Watkins. No interceptions once again. He's got 17 passing TDs and 3 picks this year and 600 rushing yards. That's tied for the 6th most rushing yards ever by a quarterback. It became just the 3rd quarterback with 150 and 2 passing touchdowns in a game, joining Colin Kaepernick and Justin Fields. Every week, Hurts does something astonishing, and that is 100% fact. I mean, he has just been incredible this year, and last night was the perfect Hurts game, where he shows you how elusive he is, how well he can run the football, how well he can take care of the football, and how well he can lead you to victory. And really, now you're kind of getting into the MVP race, and it's down to 2 players, at least this point in the NFL season. It's Jalen Hurts versus Patrick Mahomes. Now, if you just go off of stats, as 94.1 WIP shows you here on your screen, just stats, you'd say, oh, well, Mahomes has, 1,000 more passing yards. He's got 11 more passing touchdowns and, a few fewer rushing yards. But you look at the overall stats, 8 rushing touchdowns, 600 rushing yards, a better completion percentage. Oh, yeah, and he's 10-1. I think Jalen Hurts is the clear MVP favorite. I know we're a little biased here on the Thomas Mott Show, but if this race continues and these numbers kind of project out to the end of the year, how can you pass up on Jalen Hurts, who could have 15, 16 rushing touchdowns and over 25 passing touchdowns? That would be absolutely unheard of. I think he right now is my MVP. If you guys agree, give this show a thumbs up. Let's wrap up here by looking at the NFC playoff picture and our national story of the day. Philadelphia remains a game and a half up of the Minnesota Vikings, who unfortunately did win on Thursday night. San Francisco, now your 3 seed with the Seattle Seahawks losing. That's interesting there, as they would host a playoff game. And the Bucs, despite an overtime loss to the Browns, are 5-6. Crazy that right now, every single NFC East team would get in. Eagles as the 1 seed, Cowboys as the 5, Giants as the 6, Commanders as the 7. Right now with Taylor Heineke, the Commanders are playing very good football. That defensive line, as Philadelphia found out, is playing great. And their running game with Brian Robinson has been impressive. But this is a massive, massive leap, I think, for Philadelphia in terms of winning this football game to stay ahead of these Vikings and, the Cowboys for the number 1 seed. Because if you lose out the number 1 seed, I'll say it again. I'll say it every single week. You then are sitting here as the 2 seed, taking on the Commanders in round 1, or you're the 5 seed at the Cowboys taking on the Bucs in round 1. These are things we do not want. And the fact that Philadelphia continues to win and only has 1 loss in the year is massive news and really good stuff. As right now, it does seem like there are 8 teams really battling for 7 playoff spots. We got to throw Seattle in there. Falcons losing. They're basically done. I know Detroit won, but it's a big uphill battle. It's 8 teams for 7 spots. Who sneaks in? Who falls out? And where will Philly land? That's to be determined in this month's edition of the National Football League, the drama that always ensues. All right, plenty more stuff coming up here over the next couple of days and weeks. So, of course, be sure to subscribe to the show. Almost to 6,500 subs here. If you guys appreciate it, thumbs up. See you guys in the next one. Go Birds.